Wendell Berry said, be joyful though you know all the facts. So it's not about Panglossian sort of, you know, pretending everything is going to be okay. It may not be okay. I'm not saying that. But the question you have to ask yourself is this. Are all the things that are happening that we understand as being problematic, are they happening to me or are they happening for me? Because if you think they're happening to you, then what you have is the short end of a bunch of sticks. And it's a pretty tough existence. But when you realize and you understand that this is happening for us, because we did it. We created the situation. It's happening for us. And for means that this is happening for our own change, our own awakening, for a transformation that is also unnamed. And you can see that so clearly in the Occupy movement. And it's criticized, just like the abolitionists, you know, you're meddling, you don't know what you want, you know, you have a turban, you teach yoga, you're a vegetarian, you're this or that, you know, trying to peel out from it some oddity to say that somehow these people are strange and odd, and the problem is they're not. They're us, again, we, you know, old and young and students and laborers and union people and policemen and ex-soldiers, current soldiers, you know, they're all coming together in Occupy, right? And not with violence and not with shrill demands, not ideologically, you know, if they have them, they're all different, if they can have them individually, but collectively, they're coming together in a very, very different way than we've ever seen on this planet. And where we'll end up, I don't know, but it's emblematic of what I was writing about and talking about. And as I say, this movement has deep, deep roots in our history, in our culture, in our hearts, in our soul. And I don't know what else to say to you other than it's so nice to see you. People ask me, and wow, you seem optimistic, you know. And I say, if you read the data and you're optimistic, then you're not reading the data very well, you know. It's not optimistic. But if you meet the people out there who, in a sense, are humanity's immune response to ecological degradation, to political corruption, and economic disease, and you are not optimistic, then you don't have a pulse. Because we are extraordinary. I don't say that to build us up or to in any way minimize the dangers and the perils we face. I'm not at all. But we have each other, and the fact is that one by one by one by one, you know, we get larger. And we do. And we get larger because the tent includes everybody. There's no litmus test except love, care, generosity, you know, which is hardwired and innate. Thank you very much.
Thank you very, very much, Paul, and thank you for coming to Canning and to Perth for your first time. We've got an opportunity for a few questions, but I'm really, really indebted to you for that journey back through Emerson and further back, because that's some of the stuff that I really, really found joyful in Blessed Unrest. And I'm going to ask the first question. Because one of the things about the book that is so powerful that Paul hasn't really explored is actually the title and where the title comes from, which is sort of part of where you got to in the end of your talk. But I'd really like you to expand on where that title comes from, because it is about the rage of the heart, if you like, in that sense. So if you could just expand a little bit about the wonderful quote that the title comes from.
I think you should. You love this book. Come on.
You remember it better more than better.
No, no, come on. Come on.
Or you can correct the errors in my recollection. The quote talks about a conversation between a choreographer and their mentor, and it talks about the fact that this choreographer is really despondent about a piece of her theatre that has been put on, a dance has been put on. And she's talking to her mentor, and the mentor basically says, there is no satisfaction, there is only a blessed unrest. And that's the very short version, because it's a much bigger quote. But it's really, I'll have to find my glass. But it's just this really powerful idea, I guess, about how and where the passion resides. So I will read it. Thank you, Paul. And this is a good copy. This is the one that's falling apart by the looks. There is a vitality, a life force, an energy, a quickening that is translated through you into action, because there is only one of you in all time. This expression is unique. You have to keep open and aware directly to the urges that motivate you. Keep the channel open. There is no satisfaction whatsoever at any time. There is only this queer, divine dissatisfaction, a blessed unrest that keeps us marching and making us more alive than the other. Oh, well. Thank you all for the liberty of taking the first question. So we've got a little time, please.
That was Martha Graham and Agnes de Mille, and it was in Agnes de Mille's book, actually. And Martha Graham had they had seen a show that they choreographed, and it came out 6 months later, and it was terrible. And so they had this conversation at the stoop of Martha Graham's brownstone. But anyway, thank you very much. Yes, it's interesting about that quote, because I had several. This book took years. It didn't take years to write. It took years to find a title, and so for some reason I couldn't write it until I got a title. All my other books I wrote, and then the title kind of emerged. And when I first started it, I called it Uprising, and then 9/11 happened. I thought, oh no, that's not a good title. And then I had a title called The Forgotten. What was it? It was from Zapatista's Comandante Marcos. It was The Forgotten, Excluded, and the Uninvited. I thought, well, poetic, but a little forlorn. And why would you pick that up? And then I said I went to humor, and it was called We Interrupt This Empire for a special announcement. And but it seemed a little bit frivolous. And I was in Namibia, actually, when I found this quote, and gosh, when I got back, and I just immediately could write. It was so, because I felt like it had arms big enough to hold and embrace everything, all of us. You know? So that's the origin of the title.